Moving on to question number 3. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? Well, I've always had a lot of interest in media overall, but more specifically, I was interested in films, how different films were shot, the different editing softwares, and the unusual props, the mise en scène, etc. etc. That's the reason I took media as a subject in the first place. I wanted to learn how to use Adobe Premiere to edit videos and like create different types of content. I was also intrigued by dialogue scenes, like how a scene was created, the different angles of camera, the different camera placements, how what they represented, etc. etc. Similarly, I wanted to know about the sounds, the diegetic ones, the non-diegetic, the ambient sounds, and the entire different set of elements that went into making a single film. In a media class, we learned with the basics. We learned about which camera angles were best for different scenes and different stories. I started off with small assignments, which we practiced camera angles, new types of shots, etc. Then I gradually moved my way upwards towards Adobe Premiere and editing videos and the basic cuts and all of that stuff. I learned about the basic camera shots like establishing shots, the close-up shots, aerial shots, mid-close-ups, POVs and tracking shots and etc. etc. Eventually I started to realize that my videography skills have been getting better. So I started to learn about different angle movements like touch tilt, tracking and all of those. With time I noticed that I am greatly improving in editing as well as videography. So I started shooting small skits, advertisements, films to keep myself in practice to make practical projects so that what I learn in class I could implement in my daily life. We were also taught in class about other technical aspects of shooting a film. For example, the equipment, the camera settings, the shooting different scenes, the lighting according to the story, and all of that stuff. By the time I was told about my CIE project, I started planning for it almost instantly. I knew that I wanted to create a thriller film that would address a social issue and leave the audience wanting more. And therefore, I searched internet for many films and took a lot of inspiration from many different films. During the pre-production of my film, I had planned everything in full detail. I had a 25-word pitch ready to summarize what the main idea or the main plot of the film would be. Then I moved towards the storyboard. This gave me an idea of what locations I'd be choosing, what kind of characters do I need, how many characters do I need, and what sort of mise en scène would I be looking forward to. After this, I decided to go in a little more detail and wrote synopsis for my film opening. This really brought clarity in my mind that what I am going to do was literally quite clear to me, and a small but a clear picture was in my brain of what I'd be making. I shot many scenes over and over again until I had the perfect shot. I also changed the story and scenes accordingly. At first I had planned some dialogues, but later I had switched to no dialogues. When I was on my shoot, a person in charge told me that the shooting needs to stop since I do not have a written application for shooting at a government location. So I had paused the shooting. I told the cast and crew to wait while I went to a stationery shop, got a pen and a paper, and wrote down an application to the DCO, in which I asked him to give me permission to shoot on a train station. Then I went to his office and realized that he wasn't there and he was busy in some meeting. So I had to wait there for around half an hour until it got approved. As soon as it got approved, I went back to the train station to proceed with the rest of the shoot. The experience taught me that whenever I need to shoot at an authorized location, I need an approved letter from the authorities. I started off with the basic things like cutting and joining different clips to form a single long clip. Then I learned about transitions. A dip to black transition was used to show that a passage of time had passed. This is how production and post-production phase of my film opening well. Well, the pre-production phase was relatively fast, but the production took time quite some time. I had to go to different locations. I had to visit multiple train stations to figure out what location I'd be finalizing for my project, what would give me the vibe in my project that I actually need. Similarly, post production was also a big process. It involved a lot of editing. I had to work with what I had because I could only shoot once. My actors, my class fellows weren't available all the time, so it was a one time shoot for me. In the shot that shows the camera zooming in on the bag zip closing, right about here. Basically, this shot wasn't shot in a zooming in way. When I was editing the project, I realized somebody's footsteps were seen on the top left corner of the frame, and that didn't go on with the story as he's literally packing a bomb and somebody standing there that would not go together. So what I did was I only had one shot, so what I did was in Adobe Premiere I added different keyframes and added a gradual zoom in to the shot. As you can see, the shot gradually zooms in to the zip. This hence we cover the footsteps of somebody who was passing nearby. So, and that also creates a focus and emphasis on the bag. So both objectives were accomplished by that shot. Heading back to our slides now. So yeah, that was quite difficult for me to do, to be honest, because it almost took me around 2 hours, 1.5 hours just to complete that one shot, but it was totally worth it. It also improved my time management skills because I was on a time crunch and sometimes the actors weren't available, and sometimes the crew weren't available. The daylight there were weather problems, but it all taught me a lot of stuff. So it was a very good experience overall. Now I've gained sufficient knowledge about how the film is produced and how different technical skills required to produce it. This has really helped me to get a better understanding of the theory aspect of media as well. Thank you.